Dian Junwo entered the cathedral alone to meet the sect leader, Yuan Kongya.
He found a young woman in her 20s dressed in white holy robes, and their conversation lasted over 10 minutes.
When he emerged, his expression remained unreadable.
His team pressed him for answers about whether Yuan Kongya was truly an epsilon-level superhuman. Dian Junwo stated that his senses alone could not confirm her power level, but he revealed she had a significant problem: she was mentally unstable, a genuine fanatical believer in her religion. This explained to him why the practical management of the vast snow worship cult fell to High Priest Zheng Yixian. Dian Junwo decided that verifying her rumored blessing ability, which the regional command considered a potential strategic asset on par with an epsilon-level power, would have to wait until after the immediate zombie threat was resolved.
Soon, the ordered convergence of forces was complete.
Representatives from every major faction arrived at the snow worship cult's territory, bringing their most powerful military assets. Thousands of soldiers from the 3 major bases, along with tanks, artillery, and terrifying mutant hounds, assembled, creating a formidable presence that intimidated the local cultists.
Zhang Yi and his team arrived among them.
Zhang Yi helped show Kor out of their vehicle, instructing her firmly to stay by his side until he could secure her in a safe location.
As they approached the cathedral, Zhang Yi encountered his old classmate, Xing Tian, the boss of Qingpu base.
They exchanged brief, barbed pleasantries, with Zhang Yi needling Xing Tian about an old romantic relationship with an older woman, causing Xing Tian to flush with anger and call Zhang Yi emotionless. Zhang Yi responded with a cold, bitter laugh, calling emotion the cruelest thing in the world.
Inside St. John's Cathedral, the multi-party talks began.
Zhang Yi and Xing Tian entered to find Dian Junwo, Zheng Yixian, Xiao Honglian, and Wei Dinghai already seated.
Also present was the figure in the white holy robe, Yuan Kongye, whose devout and solemn demeanor contrasted with her youthful face. Zhang Yi and Xing Tian took their seats, ending their private bickering under the collective gaze of the other leaders.
Without ceremony, Dian Junwo cut to the chase, addressing the events of the previous night.
He announced that the Jiangnan investigation team had successfully killed a zombie king.
He revealed the critical tactical discovery: eliminating the zombie king caused its entire controlled horde to lose coordination and collapse into chaos. Dian Junwo laid out the strategic imperative clearly for all the faction leaders present. The key to solving the zombie epidemic plaguing Tianhai City was not to fight the endless hordes directly, but to systematically seek out and destroy all the zombie kings commanding them. This revelation caused a stir among the listeners, though Zhang Yi had privately anticipated this conclusion. He was still impressed by the investigation team's efficiency, having personally failed in a similar deep underground attempt. Only Xiao Honglian showed no surprise, likely realizing the zombie king they killed had been operating near her Yangsheng base. Xing Tian, seeking clarity, asked for more details about what a zombie king actually was. Dian Junwo, needing the full cooperation of these local powers for the coming campaign, agreed to share the information. Dian Junwo concluded his explanation by retrieving a black body bag from beside his feet and placing it on the open ground before the church. He unzipped it to reveal the corpse of a humanoid creature shrouded in white hair, presenting it to the gathered faction leaders as the slain zombie king. A wave of disappointed curiosity swept through the crowd as they examined the entity. Its appearance was surprisingly mundane, resembling nothing more than a large, moldy corpse swaddled in hair, far from the terrifying and mysterious being they had imagined. Zhang Yi inquired about its power, and Dian Junwo confirmed that while the Corpse King possessed high intelligence for commanding hordes, its individual combat strength was notably weak. This revelation brought a measure of relief to Zhang Yi, who had feared a foe with power surpassing the bronze armor corpse. Xing Tian scoffed at the notion, bluntly stating that if the creature had been any stronger, they would all have been annihilated long ago. Dian Junwo then detailed the strategic plan to permanently resolve the city's zombie crisis. The method hinged on the zombie king's behavior. It remained hidden deep within the subway tunnels while sending its hordes to attack. Therefore, the plan was to use a massive concentration of people as bait to draw the zombie armies into the open. Simultaneously, elite squads would infiltrate the tunnels to locate and assassinate the vulnerable zombie kings.
With their commanders dead, the coordinated zombie hordes would collapse into disarray, becoming far easier to manage and eliminate.
The logic was clear, but its implementation carried a brutal cost.
Upon hearing the plan, High Priest Zheng Yixian immediately grasped its implication and reacted with fury. She accused Dian Junwo of intending to use her entire Baixue cult as sacrificial bait to draw the zombie hordes.
A fierce light flashed in her eyes, mirrored by an unreadable glint in sect leader Yuan Kongya's. Wei Dinghai callously laughed off her concerns, stating that with the cult's large population and poor defenses, their territory was the most logical battlefield. Dian Junwo, expressionless, confirmed this cold calculation, though he added that the assembled military forces of all factions would be present to offer the greatest possible protection. Zhang Yixian, her voice trembling with anger, retorted that what would gather was the entirety of Tianhai City's zombie legions, dooming her followers. Xiao Honglian interjected with a tone of mocking rationality, urging Zhang Yixian to face reality. She pointed out that without this method, the Baishu sect would inevitably be the first faction wiped off the map. Other shelters could seal themselves behind military-grade defenses, but the cult's crude fortifications would never hold. Dian Junwo then delivered a crushing rhetorical blow, asking why the snow worship cult members could not be used as bait. He emphasized that his team from Jiangnan had traveled a great distance to help, and that all their combat forces were also placing themselves on the front line as part of the same bait.
They were not asking the cult to face the danger alone.
This argument left Zhang Yixian momentarily speechless, her face pale with the dawning realization of their precarious position and lack of alternatives. Finally, Zhang Yi added his voice to the pressure, speaking slowly but firmly. He stated that the combat personnel, the soldiers and elites of the various factions, would be the ones guarding the front line and would be the first to die if things went wrong. He gestured to the assembled leaders, implying that with so much armed might committed to protecting the cult's followers, further objections were unreasonable. Internally, Zhang Yi knew this was merely a polite facade. His own small team retained the flexibility to escape if necessary, unlike the larger, more cumbersome forces. Confronted by this united front of cold logic and implied threat, Zhang Yixian's expression shifted through struggle and resentment before settling into helpless resignation. With a sigh, she reluctantly acquiesced, demanding only that Dian Junwo provide a convincing and detailed battle plan for the impending extermination campaign. Dian Junwo, having secured Zhang Yixian's reluctant agreement, immediately laid out the concrete battle plan. The strategy was straightforward: all forces would gather at the snow worship cult's territory, deliberately attracting every zombie in Tianhai City to converge there. The 5 major factions would then form a defensive perimeter around the sect, engaging the horde in a protracted battle. Meanwhile, Dian Junwo and his 7-person Jiangnan investigation team would form a decapitation squad, infiltrating the underground subway tunnels to locate and assassinate the remaining zombie kings. He framed the tactic as surrounding the prey to attack the reinforcements, a darkly humorous analogy that fell flat with the assembled leaders. Zhang Yi immediately questioned the plan's scale, pointing out the terrifying possibility of facing hundreds of thousands or even millions of zombies with only the sect's relatively weak defensive structures. Street fighting in the urban center was not his team's strength, and the pressure would be immense.
Dian Junwo's response was uncompromising: then you will all need to fight to the death. After all, this is for your own homeland. Please fight bravely. Zhang Yi could offer no rebuttal, recognizing the grim truth that resolving the crisis ultimately served their own survival. Zhang Yixian, still simmering with resentment, voiced her suspicion that other factions might deliberately hold back, sacrificing her followers. Xiao Honglian coldly mocked this paranoia, stating that once the zombie army attacked, holding back would be tantamount to suicide, a logic Zhang Yixian was forced to accept. It was then that the largely silent Yuan Kongye spoke, her tone measured but firm. She requested that, during the operation, those unable to fight, especially the children, be protected. A flicker of something unreadable passed over Dian Junwo's face before he agreed. He stipulated that only children under the age of 14 could be sheltered, while all others would remain as part of the defensive bait. Yuan Kongye proposed St. John's Cathedral, with its central location and basement, as the refuge, a suggestion to which no one objected. With the core strategy settled, Dian Junwo moved to operational details. He assigned each of the 4 major factions, Snow Worship Cult, Yangsheng Base, Xiaoyu Base, and Xingpu Base, to defend one cardinal direction. Zhang Yi's elite but small team was designated as a Special Operations Unit, a mobile force ready to provide support wherever the line faltered. Finally, Dian Junwo distributed advanced communication devices to all faction leaders, equipment capable of linking to the Nebula satellite system to maintain contact even in the harsh environment. He warned everyone to prepare for a long battle, one that would not conclude in a day or two. They were now committed, living on this patch of land as bait, waiting for a tide of the dead to wash over them. For his part, Zhang Yi was not overly concerned about the weight. His snowmobile provided shelter and heat, and his personal storage held ample supplies. The stage was set, the pieces in place, and the only thing left was for the horde to take the bait. After the lengthy multi-party talks concluded with a finalized battle plan, the various faction leaders dispersed from St. John's Cathedral to organize their defensive positions. Zhang Yi's assignment as part of the mobile special operations team afforded him a degree of flexibility. Once the meeting adjourned, he immediately sought out the Snow Worship Cult's leadership. With a deliberate grin, he approached the enigmatic sect leader, Yuan Kongye, whose deep, captivating eyes met his gaze.
Before she could speak, High Priest Zhang Yixian swiftly interposed himself, his expression guarded and his smile mechanical as he demanded to know Zhang Yi's business. Undeterred, Zhang Yi explained his purpose. Among his personnel was a highly skilled doctor, his girlfriend, who possessed no combat abilities. He formally requested that she be permitted to remain within the relative safety of the cathedral alongside the other non-combatants.
Zhang Yixian visibly bristled at Zhang Yi's casual reference to Yuan Kongye as the cult leader's daughter, chastising him for his disrespect.
However, Yuan Kongye herself broke her customary silence. She acknowledged the value of a doctor as crucial logistical support and agreed to the arrangement, interpreting Zhang Yi's willingness to place his loved one on the battlefield as a sign of his commitment to the collective fight. Satisfied, Zhang Yi declared that with her safety assured, he would fight all the harder to protect the cathedral, then turned and departed, leaving the two cult leaders to exchange inscrutable, wary glances. Exiting the cathedral, Zhang Yi headed towards where his team had parked their snowmobiles. As he walked, a familiar figure caught his eye from the periphery, a thin, weary-looking middle-aged man wearing black-rimmed glasses. It was Li Jian, his former neighbor from Yuelu Building 18 and a one-time corporate executive. Their eyes met briefly, and Zhang Yi felt a flicker of surprise at seeing the man alive in here, within the snow worship cult's territory. Li Jian's own eyes showed a flash of recognition, but he quickly averted his gaze and walked on without a word, deliberately pretending not to know Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi understood the implicit message. In the complex and suspicious web of Tianhai's power dynamics, an open acknowledgement between a cult member and an external faction leader could invite trouble. Since their past relationship was not particularly close, Zhang Yi felt no need to force an interaction and continued on his way. He found his team gathered near their vehicles. Liang Yu, her tang sword in hand, was casually chatting with the others as they observed the snow worship cult's camp. The sight prompted somber reflection. The cult members existed in a state of profound deprivation, emaciated and shivering in a massive slum, struggling for basic food and warmth by huddling together. The stark contrast to their own lives was immense. Thanks to Zhang Yi's provisions, his team lived in warmth and comfort, enjoyed regular gourmet meals, and wore advanced, heated combat suits. The comparison made them acutely aware of their privileged position. Zhang Yi approached and relayed the full details of the meeting and the finalized zombie horde extermination plan. His team listened without great surprise, having anticipated such an outcome when they deployed. However, the reality of needing to stay in this environment for the battle's duration immediately raised practical, visceral concerns. The primary issue was sanitation. The idea of exposing themselves to the lethal cold to relieve themselves was unthinkable, and the cult's solution was no better. Their toilets were makeshift dry latrines built underground. While slightly warmer, these pits were enclosed spaces filled with a concentrated, unbearable stench, as waste was preserved for use as fuel or for biogas production. For Zhang Yi's team, accustomed to the hygienic facilities of their luxury shelter, this was a completely unacceptable hardship. After hearing their complaints, Zhang Yi offered a simple, resource-rich solution. He declared they would not have to endure such conditions. They had ample supplies, and there was no need to suffer. He decided to allocate 2 of their vehicles, one for men and one for women, to be repurposed as private, makeshift toilets for the duration of their stay, ensuring a basic level of comfort and dignity amidst the impending chaos.